every single time we misuse these words, someone who is actually living it gets a little less believed. The bar for being taken seriously, like it makes it worse for them,
We should
right?
be wary of people who push us towards accountability while avoiding accountability for themselves. Hey, everybody. Welcome to The Wait
Hello.
and the Wonder. I'm Jason Herndon. I'm a licensed clinical psychologist.
And I am Felicia Ross. I am a licensed a clinical social worker, mental health professional, all things. And I'm
Yeah,
happy to be here. Yeah.
same. This is where we take what's buzzing in pop culture and relationships and look at it through our therapist's eyes, not to diagnose the internet, but to explore the nuance that gets lost in pop culture.
Yes, because usually there's more to the story. And this is what's happening, where we pull up on what's buzzing and actually sit with it. We've got two today because they're pretty big. If you have been following me on threads, you have already heard or read some of what I put together, but we're definitely talking about the Love Island of it all, Casey and Anaya. And Jason has been, it's Cam Newton's back, y'all. And if you have been a long time listener or watcher, you already know what that means. You already know what that means.
I have not publicly prayed on his downfall in a while, and it's time.
It's time.
It's time.
Again, while we are therapists, we are licensed mental health professionals. We are not your licensed mental health professionals. This is not therapeutic advice. This is just truly our opinions. And we are humans, but we do try to bring in a therapeutic lens. But yeah, clearly there will be bias shown. So like, please, if you have any further questions or if this brings something up for you, we invite you to please talk to your mental health professional.
Please do.
Please do. Go ahead, Jason. I think you have not brought something like, that you've been excited about in a little minute. So please, the floor is
It's true. I
yours.
do a lot of responding. That is true. You know
Yeah.
what? I'm just going to give it to you right up front, and it is this. We should be wary of people who push us towards accountability while avoiding accountability for themselves. Okay. And so the background here is Cam Newton had Spice on his show, podcast. I don't actually know what it is exactly.
I think it's
Probably
a
show.
podcast.
Podcast. Okay. All right.
Yeah, I think it's like a podcast show-ish, like a
Yeah.
show
It's
with
recorded
podcast
like
format.
ours. Like, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So he had Spice, who is a Jamaican musician
Mhm,
and singer,
mhm,
on the show, and they
mhm.
got into this debate around cheating in relationships. So Spice argues that she is going to cheat on a man who cheats on her, and she's going to do it for revenge. I do for do, as she says. I'm cleaning that up. And so Cam, she gives it to a real raw, and I appreciated it. Right now, Cam Newton argues that he says, quote,
Mm,
"That's not a good enough reason for me, the idea that like you are cheating in response to my behavior." Right. And he argues that if a woman wants to cheat, then she should do it because she wants to and not because of what I did. And as a reminder, what I did is cheating on you first, right? So he pushes for women to
mhm,
take accountability here for their own actions, right? You should own that you made the decision to cheat on me instead of blaming me, right, for cheating on you first and inspiring that behavior. And I might be willing to tolerate that if A, he hadn't already cheated, right, in this
mhm,
scenario, and B, if he was taking any kind of accountability for his own behavior, but he is not. He sidesteps this idea of accountability for himself by chalking men cheating up to this old, like, it's an outgrowth of our masculinity, right? He says, as
an
a man,
outgrowth.
yes, right, as a man, I can see something attractive in every single woman,
And
right?
you
And
gotta
this is, of
act on that
course,
attraction for every
absurd,
single woman?
100%. So I think that this
Boom.
is absurd because a couple of reasons, right? It assumes that one, that women don't find men attractive in the same way. Right? And Spice goes on to point that out, right? That she also finds men attractive.
Mhm,
But I think the bigger absurdity and assumption is that attraction somehow requires men to act on it by pursuing women, regardless of our relationship status, regardless of their relationship status, right? That if we see as an attractive person, we got to do something about it.
I guess that's the outgrowth.
And he just has this sort of old trope, right? Old
Mm,
masculinity trope, which
mhm,
is that men are just like naturally non-monogamous, right? He's actually said this a number of times.
mhm,
It seems to
mhm.
be a part of his belief
'Cause
system. Like,
I think
mhm,
he's non-monogamous as well, or is he in a
maybe king.
non-mono
I know
I
that.
didn't know if that was a particular setup for him, like, I know he has multiple that's as far as I know about everything I know about Cam Newton is against my will, so last I checked, there was a big, like
Largely my fault.
you can say same about Love Island,
I
so,
do say the same about Love
yeah,
Island
yeah,
often.
so it's
Yeah,
we're both there.
it's true.
But, is he, like, like, what I don't really know because that's how he comes across, but I guess not. I don't
That's
know.
a great point, and I actually wanna come back to that in a little bit because I do actually think that polyamorism, specifically being
Yeah.
monopoly, could be a good
Okay.
solution for some guys who thinks like this. But before we go there, right, I think that there is this other moment where Spice kind of points out what his true desire seems to be, which is he wants the freedom to
Mm,
be with multiple women while the woman in his primary relationship, and I'm using that language very specifically, right? While the woman in his primary relationship remains exclusively loyal to him.
mm,
And I think that
mm,
what stands out to me is what you just brought up, and that is that open relationships exist, right?
mhm,
Polyamory, open marriages, open relationships, consensual non-monogamy, ethical non-monogamy, whatever
mhm,
term it is that you like to
mhm,
characterize these different relationship configurations. Like these are all available to you. And I think that one configuration is the one that you brought up. I had that same thought, which is what we call the mono-poly relationship. And so if you've never heard of this idea, it is where one person in the relationship is ethically, consensually determined, like, I don't want to be with multiple people. I want to
mhm,
be with one person, and that person is the person I'm in a relationship with. And
mhm,
the other person has ethically and consensually said, actually, I would like to be with multiple people. One of those people is you. So you
mm,
have one person in the relationship who is just with the other partner, and
mhm.
one partner in the relationship who is dating or in
Multiple
ongoing
people.
relationships or in sexual relationships. There are many
Mhm,
configurations, right? But they are non monogamous,
mhm,
right? That function exists. And one of the things that I find so fascinating,
mm,
right, is that then it is not cheating. It is a mutually agreed upon
mhm,
arrangement between consenting adults. But
mhm.
there tends to be this kind of active resistance to polyamory in these situations that I
Yeah.
don't fully understand. I partially understand it. I don't
I
fully
mean, I
understand
what
it.
I'm hearing is that your whole point is honesty, and I think people get caught up on the multiple people, but it's honest. Like,
Mhm.
if you want to go and be with multiple people, then find other people who would not mind you doing that as long as you're
Mhm.
honest about it, right? It sounds like it's really about the consent.
I think so. And I wonder if
Yeah,
that is one of the barriers is that the
yeah.
assumption
The
is
fear that no
if
that they you won't get consent.
correct, that you'll have to be
Mhm.
alone,
Yeah.
right? That like
Mhm.
maybe these women or men or whoever, right, won't
Mhm.
want to be in a monopoly relationship with you,
Mhm.
right? That they will think negatively of you or whatever it is, or that you'll have to go longer, right, than you want to as a single person while you're trying to
Mhm.
find, right, people who want to be in this relationship configuration.
Mhm.
And that might be true,
Mhm.
right? Like polyamory is growing in popularity, but I don't think it's like super popular at this point. Where like, oh, it's a natural thing that
It's
we
a
find other
natural
people who
thing.
are, poly
Yeah.
or down with, whatever these configurations are. I can understand that reasonably. And yet, I think the emotionally mature move here is to leave women alone who don't align with your views on relationships,
That's
right? And
it.
I mean this
Yeah.
so I often am in criticism, but I actually mean this in support.
Mhm.
And it's that all of us deserve to be in relationships
Mhm.
that allow us to be our authentic selves,
Mhm.
right? And
Mhm.
so if you're in your heart of hearts, you
Mhm.
do not want to be with one person. You
Mm-mm.
want to be with lots of people,
Multiple yeah, you wanna be with multiple people, and
right?
I mean, we are in this kind of purity kind of culture,
100%.
very, Anglo-Saxon, just that this space where I think a lot of people get caught up in the monogamy of it all, but you actually
Yeah.
don't like monogamy because if you liked monogamy, you wouldn't necessarily have to make yourself, I guess, what outgrow whatever he's
Hmm.
talking about,
Hmm.
whatever you're trying to do, right?
Yeah.
Because if you know that the other person that would not agree with that and you do it anyway, then essentially you are one taking away someone's agency to
Yes.
choose,
Hmm.
right? And two, it's almost as if like you get high off of the betrayal or not even the betrayal, like the secretive nature of it.
Yeah, that's certainly
Mhm,
the case sometimes. But
mhm,
I think too that there's another version of this, which is
mm,
that I've been very clear early
mm.
on that I have no intention of being exclusive.
Exclusive with you, yeah.
You hear what you want to hear,
Mhm.
right? You think I'm kidding. You think you'll change me. You think whatever is happening,
Well,
right?
yes, that
And then
exists too.
you say to yourself, he just playing, right? I think, again, if we think about this through a frame of emotional maturity, I think then the move again, as the person who knows what they want, is to
Mhm.
say, this is not going to work.
Yeah,
Right? Because I
yeah.
think you're hearing what you want to hear and you are not hearing what I am saying to you. And what I am
Mm,
saying to you is, I don't want to be with just you. I want to be with a lot of people, right? Or multiple people. And if you are not okay with that, then this is never going to
it's
work.
yeah, it's
I
gonna
think
you're
what we
gonna
see
yep.
more regularly is
Mhm,
this like, well, I said what I wanted and she
mm.
was down for the ride. right? And
When
it's
it
like, well, now she's trying to act up. And it's like, well,
mhm,
sure, right? And there is some accountability, right, that this other person probably needs to take.
uh-huh,
And
uh-huh,
at the same time, if you saw what was going on, you also could have stepped up, right, and said,
and did something
no,
different.
no, no, right? This
Yeah.
is not,
Let me clarify
I
for
don't want
you.
what you think I want.
Here's and whew, well, this connects to the Love Island type very
I
beautifully.
know. Yeah.
I think it seems as if, like, what he's saying is like, "Well, it's not that I want the freedom, it's that he wants the freedom for himself, but then he wants exclusivity from her. You
Yes.
wanna know that you're the only one, but you also wanna be
Hmm.
okay with her not being the only one, and what you're blaming it on is your makeup as a result of the genitalia you were born with."
Correct. Hmm.
But
Correct.
that's not a relationship philosophy.
No, it is
That's
not.
a double standard with a lot of word salad, just like in Klecta.
As always, right? He's just talking nonsense. And I think that because my argument is too, I think that that is an absurd idea, right? That
Uh-huh.
men are inherently non monogamous and women are inherently monogamous, right? Women are
Yeah.
designed to be with one man and men are designed to be with multiple women. One,
Mm,
it's like heterosexist, right?
mhm.
And two, it is misogynist, right? And sexist. And so, and I think
Mhm.
if that is your genuine belief, open relationships exist,
Yes,
right?
and,
If you believe that
consent
by
exists.
constitution,
Mhm.
right? I am
Mhm.
designed to be with
Mhm.
multiple people simultaneously,
Mhm.
right? Fine.
Do
Say
what you
that
gotta
shit
do. Say it, and be
with
honest
your
about it, but
chest. Yeah.
don't do this something that I get very frustrated that Cam Newton does is, 1, he makes it sound like he, like, read research papers for days to come to his conclusion, and you didn't. You just decided in your mind, and
It's
then
all
you
vibes.
it's all vibes, right? So, it was interesting 'cause, when I watched the clip, something that I noticed is, like, that's not good enough. Well,
Uh huh.
then I get caught up with, like, well, what is a good enough
Hmm.
reason to cheat? What is the right reasons to cheat?
Right.
Because if you
Hmm.
get to cheat because you're just a man and
Hmm.
everybody's attractive, you have to make that make sense for me.
Yeah.
Like if Spice says like, okay, well then I'm gonna cheat too. Well, just because I cheated? No, I have attraction too. If
Hmm.
you're saying that you cheat because you have
Hmm.
attraction, I too have attraction. So let me
Correct.
wake my attraction up for everybody that I have attraction for and do what I want to do. Because again, mid do for do. So
Yeah.
whatever
Rabbit
you
for
wanna
rabbit.
do,
Yeah.
because and she said it very clearly, you are the leader in this relationship. By your standards, by your words,
Yeah.
you lead in a relationship, right?
Hmm.
So if you're leading in the relationship, then you're leading us both to wake our attraction up in the ways that you wake your attraction up.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's what
Follow the
I
leader.
heard. Follow the leader.
That's right. You set the example. You set the standard. You're the head of the household.
You're
Why shouldn't I
y
do what you do?
you wanna do all you have all these titles, you want all these titles, so, I mean
Hmm.
and this is the thing, like, words mean things. I remember us
Hmm.
being in a time where we would watch the spelling bee.
I do remember that.
I do remember a time where it was an exciting thing,
Hmm.
right? And we
Hmm.
have gone so far off course because George Bush left many kids behind, unfortunately.
He
So
did.
we are now
Yeah.
here
Yeah.
where Cam Newton says, you have to cheat for the right reasons.
Right. Which is crazy.
It's very interesting to me
Yeah. It just, I get, let's move on to
because
something that makes a little more sense. And that's Love Island.
I don't know. I don't know if it makes more sense than this because if the emotionally mature move is to leave people alone who just don't want what you want, we're past that,
Mhm. Well, I
right?
think it's also letting go of this fear of being alone, right? Or that
Yeah.
somehow the idea that being with a person who does not want the things that you want and does not value the things that you value is somehow better than being alone. And if I could teach people anything, it would be that that is not true. For in almost every scenario, that is not the case, right? There are rare, I will never say never, right? There are rare situations where I can imagine that, fine, right? Sure. But it's probably not true.
Yeah, my mind goes to everything that you said was fire. And I'm kind of thinking about this from a lens too of like as we get into the Love Island thing
Hmm.
of the accountability piece, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Who has to be accountable, who gets to skate? And what I'm
Hmm.
hearing with Cam, okay, well then the accountability sits with you because you're only doing it because I did it. So
Yeah.
what I did technically like it's because I'm a man.
Hmm.
But at least I know why I'm doing it. But
Yeah.
you don't really know why you're doing it because you're just mad
Right. There are things that explain my behavior, but your same behavior is incorrect.
because you're not choosing it for the right reasons.
Mhm.
I chose mine because I'm built that way. Right.
Until next time, he says
Until
something.
next time. Cam Newton, did you get out everything you need to say?
I said everything I'm willing to say on wax. I probably have more to say in the text chain, but
Because you know I'm spicy. I'm Trinity. Like I tell someone I was like I'm for real. I'm for real. Trinity outside of here.
mhm, mhm,
Jason
mhm.
is aware. I'm like, you sure? You say it. Let's switch to Love Island.
It's
As
I
of
was
now,
telling a
it is.
friend that
You were what?
we are doing. I was telling a friend that we do this podcast, and they looked us up on YouTube and they're like, "You do a Love Island Reacts podcast?" And I was like, "I don't know that I would describe it that way."
It
And
wasn't
yet,
that. It wasn't that. And trust me, guys, if I could get Jason to do it, I would, but he's not gonna do it, you guys.
I'm
I'm
not
so
doing it.
sorry,
I'm
but I
not
wish
doing
he
it.
would because he would be great at it. But I think it's just too overstimulating for him.
I would
He's
just be so
gonna
confused and probably enraged the whole time,
he
which
would
would
text
probably be
me.
fun to listen to. But
It probably
from
would
from
because I think it would be
I'm
great.
protecting my peace.
I think we would be really good at it, and I think it would be really fun, but I'm not gonna push Jason, you guys, because friends are friends.
That's
But
fair.
if I had it my way, if I was very selfish about it, I'd be like, "Please, like, we could do it."
Well,
And
you
then
have a
really
whole nother year to work on me, I guess, before the next season. So
I don't know. This one's draining me. Okay, I do not wanna recap the play-by-play, but please ask
okay,
questions because I will recap what needs to be recapped.
perfect. Yeah.
For everyone who has already seen Love Island, we are, like, actually, right now, part 2 of movie night is out. So, at least for us who has premium, I do. And so you guys can go watch the show. I'm gonna get into the discourse. And the discourse is basically for me, everyone's out here crowning clinical words to people. I don't like that, right? But the real word of the season outside of French fry, or yeah, outside of French fry, is disrespect.
Uh,
Disrespect.
mhm.
Child. Okay, so here's my first thing. Mental health words are not seasoning.
Please
Y'all are out
tell
here
the people.
slinging abuse, narcissist, gaslighting, like there's spice on a plate. There's a name for that. It's called concept creep, right? And every single time we misuse these words, someone who is actually living it gets a little less believed. The bar for being taken seriously, like it makes it worse for them, right?
Yes.
And this is
Mhm.
exactly why it belongs in this space. In Black and POC communities, like it is BIPOC Mental Health Awareness Month. The stigma for Black and POC communities is high and the trust is very thin, right? I was on threads, y'all was cussing out therapists. Whoa, wait, did Cheyenne Bryant really mess y'all up that bad? She wasn't even licensed for real, friends. She wasn't licensed for real. I'm sorry. I don't know what we did, but I
She's so
don't know
funny.
what we did, but I'm so sorry. But we're
She
getting
is
to the
not one of us.
she's not one of us, I promise you. Because if therapy talk becomes the language of winning arguments,
Hmm,
then it stops being the language of getting help.
that's right.
Language, like kissing, is important. I don't know why kissing no longer matters, but language matters. So we're gonna try to hold on to it. So, okay, I have to break it down. So let me tell you what I'm actually watching from my lens
Okay.
because I want to be very precise about it. Casey does a lot of what I would say is passive disrespect, right?
Okay.
He says not so nice things about Anaya behind her back, then reassures her to her face. Then, in the recoupling, it can get read as like her kind of berating her a bit in front of everybody at the
Hmm.
recoupling. So at the recoupling scene, each year a group, the boys or the girls go to Casa Amor. This year, the boys go to Casa Amor. Casa Amor is on another, I guess, island, I guess. I don't know, or
Okay.
another, right? So the girls stay in the villa, the boys go to Casa Amor. They made it seem like they were going to do a heart rate challenge. The heart rate challenge is when they get dressed up in all these costumes, and whoever, like, the person who wins is the person who, like, raises people's heart rates the most. The girls come out, and there's a big, the girls
We're in the boat.
The girls come out, there's a big box. They realize the boys are not there. The boys are at Casa, right? Casa is meant to test the relationships, the current couples. So Anaya is with KC,
Okay.
Corbin is with Kenzie, Melanie is with Insincere and Sacred because he's a liar who lies, and Jen is with no one.
Okay. Sorry, Jen.
I guess, yeah, Jen is with no one. I guess technically Kayla, and so yeah, I don't know. Jen is with no one, because her person had gotten kicked off. For the
Okay.
boys, I named all of them plus Caleb. Caleb is single, so for him, it's really great because he don't have no loyalty to anybody. But obviously, oh, and sorry, I forgot about the other two. Bryce is with Trinity. Zach, there's a lot of bodies. Zach is with Kata, right? Caleb, Jen, basically single. So
They don't want to be together.
no, like they literally are. They're not coupled up with anyone. Jen was with someone. He got kicked off.
Oh, got it. Okay.
Kinsey didn't choose Caleb, so
So they're like recently single.
they're
Got it.
recently single,
Got it.
single
Okay.
islanders. Okay. The boys go to Casa. Casa is meant to test relationships. In Casa, boys can choose to stay in their current couple, bring back a girl to the island, which would leave their person, if they choose to not couple up with the Casa boy, like single and vulnerable. Anaya, my face is like this because I'm like, okay, girl. I love her to death. I do love her to death. But again, if we ever break down what we really think, but that's not this.
Okay.
At the recouple, because I'm like, let me not get ahead of myself.
Yeah.
Anaya does not choose to recouple with any of the Casa boys, Casey brings back TT. So I'm TT. He brings back TT. There is a lot that happens. Now, mind you, the girls are upset because they have watched the heart rate challenge. And so, what people are framing as like, oh, it's locker room talk, has an actual
Okay.
word. It's called passive disrespect. When
Sure.
you decide to avoid or neglect or be callous towards someone when they are not in your face, you are passively disrespecting them. Mind you, Casey has called Anaya grandma behind her back in relation to the fact that she does not want to do more than kiss and cuddle in the bed, right?
Hmm.
He has gotten frustrated and like maybe said some untoward things towards her as well behind her back of like, hey, when they got into a fight, do you think that you want to fix it? Casey has said like, I'm not fixing something that I didn't do. Like, so F no, I'm not going to fix that. Like that has nothing to do with me. And I'm going to get basically saying he's getting tired of it, right? He's expressing these things and
Okay.
those can and so people have felt that that's disrespectful. So
It
now
sounds
we have
disrespectful.
teams. Thank you. We have teams of Team Anaya and Casey. So they're called the Casey Defenders. And Anaya has a team because, again, what we have historically seen on these shows is like darker skinned women typically get the most vitriol,
Sure.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
A lot of people have called Anaya everything but a child of God on the internet, from her being manipulative, from her
For what?
crying.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, from her being manipulative because she cries because Casey has approached her, but he's clumsy with his words, so he's also not very clear about
Hmm.
wanting to explore. And I don't think that Anaya is upset that he wants to explore. I think it's because it seemingly comes out of nowhere to her because
Got it. Yeah.
she's kind of like, well, are you not happy? Right? Is there
Hmm.
insecurities? Yes. I do think both of them are insecure. And I think the way that she handles her insecurity is she cries. Like she gets sad and she
Yeah.
cries. I think Casey handles his insecurity by way of resentment, and it doesn't look good for him.
Hmm.
What I find interesting is the audience is still finding a way to hand Casey grace for actions that he's done, right?
Yep.
I want to be very clear about this. Production cannot put words in somebody's mouth.
Yes. We talked
Casey
about
is
like the
saying,
ghost edit or whatever, but this is
right,
not
like,
that.
this is not there's no like, Casey is saying these things out of his mouth, and so I think it is fair to worry about his mental health. I think it is fair to worry about his feelings. I
Hmm.
also think when you're saying that his yelling is standing up for himself and you're saying Anaya's yelling is abusive,
Mm.
we kind of have to wake it up a little bit here of we're now using language that doesn't belong, right? Because
Yeah.
yeah, please,
Yeah.
I'd love to hear
Well,
your thoughts.
I'm really intrigued by these ideas, right? Because
Yeah.
I agree wholeheartedly with the idea that words mean things. I've said that many times, right? Words mean
Mhm,
things, right?
mhm,
And we need to be intentional in the way that we use words like abusive, in the way that we use words like narcissist, and the way we use words like Darvo, and all these other terms, right, that come along with these experiences
mhm.
because they matter and they represent very real
Real
and
things.
concerning experiences that people have. And the more that we use them
Mhm.
casually, the easier and easier and easier it gets for people to be like, well, those words don't mean anything, right? That's just like, you know,
Yeah.
really, right? Like really doesn't mean anything anymore, right? We say it all the
Mhm.
time, you know. I think too, it's fascinating to me because, one of the things you and I talk about a lot is this idea that, these people are young and starving and sleep deprived
And
and probably
sleepy. They're
hot,
running off
right?
wine
Like, and
coolers and hormones.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And so it really is the perfect environment for
Mhm,
these
mhm.
emotional
Yep,
outbursts.
outbursts. Mhm.
But I do think it is fascinating to watch people in real time kind of rationalize like the similar behaviors of, when this person yells and name calls and cusses you out and whatever. Here's why those behaviors are rational and
Mhm.
reasonable and to be expected. But when this person does these same things, that's the sign of a pretty deep problem. It's
Mhm.
just very fascinating to see like how do you draw that line and distinction, right? Like it would be one thing if neither of
Yeah.
them were problematic. It would be one
Mm.
thing if both of them were problematic. But the idea that like she is a problem and he is not, he is a problem and she is not, is really
Mhm.
interesting to me.
It's very fascinating, and something that I will say, like, there's been a lot of comments of like, "Oh, Nye doesn't need to be on the show. She needs to be on Love is Blind." I was like, "So you want her to go on a show where she can't see the other person, and
And they
you
can't see
think
her.
and they can't see her, and you think that because she has insecurities around wanting to have a fairy tale life, recognizing that she has had a charmed life because her father was an NBA basketball player, and let's really wake it up, you guys. No one knows that man. That man played for 6 different NBA teams. Y'all don't know. Y'all don't know that man. To
That was
make her
just me.
seem like she's, like, living this
I thought it was just me. She said that in that first episode. That's the only
um,
episode that I've seen, and I'm sticking to that. And I was like, I don't know who that is, but I
I
don't know who
don't
lots
know
of
who
basketball
that
players
is.
are. So
I'm very Kiki Palmer. I looked him up. Okay. Still don't know who that man is.
I don't know him.
So she had two parents who were well off, and then there's I don't even know if this is true. Someone's like, "Oh, she has a Range Rover." I'm like, how do you know that? How do you know what car
Yeah.
she drives? How are we getting there? But that's my thing. I'm like, how are you guys getting here to characterize her as someone who, one, doesn't belong on the show, two, is manipulative, is abusive in some way, when I'm like, I don't understand how we're making class a part of this. And I think we have to, and I don't think, again, it's not lost on me that Casey is getting a lot of vitriol as well
Hmm.
as the most unambiguous black man on the cast, right? Corbin is a lighter skinned male.
Hmm.
Casey is a darker skinned male.
Hmm.
Anaya is a darker skinned woman, right? So I will ask the question plain because I think it's the real one underneath this. Is it simply easier to hate darker skinned folks, specifically darker skinned women? Because this is the third year in a row.
Hmm.
This is the third year in the row, Love Island, and it's pretty plain. I've watched this exact thing play out multiple times, and I think the worst that it got was Alandria putting her head on George Floyd. They have now done the same thing with Anaya. I do not think it got that bad with Janae and Serena because there wasn't as many Love Island watchers at that time. But the unambiguous black woman, the darker skinned woman, gets cast as the aggressor, the angry one, the villain. She gets the least protection. And we're watching this in real time at movie night. I know I sent you the clips where Casey's clip plays, then her clip with Carl plays, and all the boys are like, you guys are saying, but it's a double standard. And I said, I don't know where the double standard is.
Yeah. You know, it's interesting because this, the work that I do is couples work. I do a lot of
Yeah.
infidelity recovery. And
Yeah.
so I do see this as a tactic sometimes. I think it's more of like
Yeah.
an internal, like I'm justifying my own behavior to myself,
Very much
that
so.
it's like, you were mean to
Mhm.
me three
Yeah.
times in 5 years and I slept with your sister. I think we both have things to work on, right? We both have, right? And it's like, and then I have to say as a therapist, these things are not the same.
They're
These
not
things are
the
not
same,
equal.
babes.
We can certainly
Yeah.
talk about how she made you feel like she was being mean to you. That's important, right? Your feelings matter in your own relationship. And also,
Your
right? These things are not
action.
the same.
They're not the same. The first you guys were and when I say you guys, I'm talking about the internet. There was upset that Anaya wasn't exploring enough. She does what she's supposed to do in Casa. Again, mind you, after seeing KC very much passively disrespectfully given to the experience, she says out loud, Casey is not thinking about my feelings while he's doing what he's doing. Let me wake it up and have my experience.
Hmm.
And then we're still here a little bit. And this isn't to say that Casey deserves the vitriol that he's getting, because I do believe that some people are taking it very far on both sides,
Hmm.
right? I do not believe that Casey and a TT should have these where you guys are putting AI masculinity on her and making her with big muscles and, making Casey into a baby and right, like none of that is okay. It's not okay that there's defending him to a fault of like he didn't do anything wrong. He
Hmm.
did.
Yeah. He
There is
badmouths
a
her. He
reason why
talks
in
trash about
movie
her.
night he's
Hmm.
like this. Like his physical is like, oh my gosh. Why? Because he realizes it doesn't look
Hmm.
good. He's aware that he went from you're the blueprint as a darker skinned woman to I'm not happy for her
Hmm.
in a matter of 2 days.
That's the other completely
Y'all read a
wild
love
thing
letter
is
to
that,
each other
yeah.
2 days before he went to Casa Amor, and then all of a sudden, nah, I really don't. I don't
Hmm.
like. Yeah, yeah. I fuck with Anaya, but I got stock here. My aura's up
Hmm.
in here. People came specifically for me. This is how it's supposed to be. I want to be chosen. I want to be wanted. It's two
Which is,
insecurities
yeah.
from different sides. Yeah, I do not think
Yeah.
that men have
Hmm.
to be caricatures for romance. I don't think, no, I think they deserve their own romantic stories too. And I do think that Casey performs masculinity. And there was something that we were split on in terms of language.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
did reach for the word I reached for Darvo,
Huh?
right? So I
Yeah.
want to name it and define it correctly first. Darvo comes from it stands for
Jennifer
deny,
Fry.
attack. Thank you, Jennifer Fry.
Hmm.
Thank you. It stands for deny, attack, and reverse victim and offender. Clinically, it describes a tactic that an offender runs on their victim when they get held accountable. They deny
Hmm.
it, they go on the attack, and then they flip the script so the person who caused harm looks like the one who got harm.
Yeah. Hmm. It's
Did I
that
get that right?
really she had it coming, he had it coming, they had it
Right.
coming because of this, that, and the other. And so
It's very
really I
Chicago.
am the victim. I had no choice but to push you, hit you, abuse you, whatever.
Yeah, I was definitely gonna break out into song. I was like, "Oh, she had it coming." Okay, sorry.
We listen, they don't know you're classically trained.
They don't know I'm classically trained. Yeah, that is a part of my lore. I think it's a fair one, Darvo, because you put when we were going in the comments going back and forth, you were saying like a whole crowd of commenters isn't technically like doing Darvo. But what your research pulls like adds is that Freud found when people just get exposed to a Darvo style story of like the
Mhm.
blame, they will blame the victim more and believe them less. And I think
Yes.
I've also
Yes.
said this on threads where KC got a very, he was seen as goofy, funny. He was a meme in like the first episode. Like he really had a lot of good production
Mhm.
up until I think a certain point when it was just, again, at
Yeah.
the passive disrespect. And you're right on the definition. I did sit with it. So here's where I think I'm actually landing as a systems thinker. I'm less interested in whether every single commenter is consciously running from the playbook and
Mhm.
more
Mhm.
about like this idea is not just something that one abuser does in a relationship. It's baked into how misogynoir and colorism operate structurally,
Yeah.
right? Production performs the reversal in the edit, the algorithm rewards it. We are
Mhm.
watching something deeply unserious. These are people who are seeking monogamous relationships in a polycule and wearing bikinis all day.
Yeah. Mhm.
like, like
Yeah.
we are watching something deeply unserious, right? We are
Yeah.
watching a
I think that
heavily produced show. Yeah.
yes, they do such an amazing job helping us, and this they're not the only ones to do this,
Yeah.
right? They do an
Yeah.
amazing all the dating shows do an amazing job of
Hmm.
helping us forget. Like you've only known each other for 3 days, right? Like a week,
Hmm.
4 weeks, right? Whatever it is,
And they don't know
right?
time in there.
Mhm.
So it can feel like
Yeah, I'm
forever.
sure it
And
does. I'm
yeah.
sure it does. And so we get these narratives like, well, you and my ride or die, and it's like for how long? Like for how long though?
You guys
Like
are
what
the
do we
only
mean?
humans that you guys are connected to, and the only humans you've been connected to halfway across the
Hmm.
world from your homes. Y'all are really all y'all got. So
Hmm.
I
Yeah.
understand how quickly it could be to like want to be in like to have that depth with folks when like, listen, we're all on an island.
Yeah, that's right.
Hmm.
I think your comment about, being forced into a polycule while trying to perform monogamy is a really great frame, right, for thinking about this. And that some people are very wedded to the monogamy side of it. Some people are very wedded to the like polyamory side of it, right? And then some people are moving in and out, right, of
Yeah.
those identities basically, right? Like day to day,
Day to day.
relationship to
Yeah.
relationship, right?
Hmm.
Fight to fight,
Yeah. What's
you
up,
know?
Kinsey? Because
Hmm.
you're the one.
Well, I wouldn't
Ken
know, but
Yeah, well, Kinsey is Dora. Megan the
got
Stallion
it.
called her, "Oh, what's up, Dora?" If Megan the Stallion never called me Dora, I don't know.
It's not a compliment. Whatever.
I
I
don't
don't even
know,
know.
girl. She's like,
Yeah.
"Oh, you Dora in here." She really is. But
Yeah.
I do think that that is, and then people are like, "But that's the name of the game." And it's like, yes,
Mhm.
to find the best connection. And then when you do grow with said connection, that is the very poorly planned social experiment. Erica Hart, who is the author of Nasty Work, she had a great video that I came back to again and again. I think I sent it to you. That production never intervened when Casey was using his words vitriolic about Anaya,
Mhm.
right? And patriarchy. That is a part of patriarchy. I'm getting there.
Yeah.
I was ahead of myself. The production made sure that a black man, a cishet black man, dark skinned black man, is the focal point of everybody's vitriol. That is not by accident. Do I believe that Casey performs masculinity? Yes. And
Mhm.
because Jason doesn't watch, and this is a fair question,
Yeah, yeah,
I
tell
will
me how. Yeah.
I
Mhm.
will say that it's clearest around Casa because you asked me like, well, how is he doing this,
Mhm.
right? So before Casa, he called Anaya grandma for not wanting, like I said, not wanting to do more than kiss before he left. He got to Casa and it was like a 180 from the Casey that we had been exposed to. This I deserve to be chosen, him and Corbin are having conversations. The Villa girls are like high school. The girls in here are like college. People are asking him about Anaya. There's specifically a conversation where they get postcards, right? The girls get a postcard from Casa, the boys get a postcard from the villa, and he sees Anaya having a kiss. I mean, it was the kiss that has sparked 1,000 ships, right? Which is why I made the face when I said she didn't shoot, like, she chose to stay with this man. And I'm like, girl, that is the buzziest kiss that you've ever had in there. I have never seen you and Casey have a kiss like that. Baby, please. Anyway, so he sees this picture. Mind you, this entire time, I'm really not thinking about Anaya. I'm leading into TT is here for me and blah, blah, all the things, right? They say, like, oh, how did it make you feel to see this thing from Anaya? I don't give a fuck.
Mhm. That's the
Okay.
numbing. Mhm.
Right. It is
Yeah.
very much numbing. And then they're like, oh, and he was like, she's on thin ice. Thin ice?
Mhm. That's
Thin
the
ice?
domination. Yeah. We reassert masculinity
Yeah.
with domination, right?
I
So
said,
if he
yeah.
feels that he has been emasculated by
Yeah.
her choosing someone that is not him and all the other men seeing it, right? Then it is this performance, right? Of, well, I
Mind
have to
you,
perform that I'm not, I don't even care about that. But also
yep,
she's up, why does she on thin ice if you don't care?
sincere, insincere said the most sincerest line of the whole season so far. Don't you think you're on thin ice too?
Well, I think that they're all on, aren't they all on thin ice? Isn't
In
that
my
like
mind,
kind of
I'm
the
like,
point of the show?
technically half of y'all are on thin ice except for Caleb. Because Caleb ain't got nobody. And Bryce, because Bryce didn't want to do nothing with nobody. He loves himself a Trinity. So I love it. I love that for them. So yeah, they are officially boyfriend and girlfriend now. So love that for them.
Oh, well, great.
But Casey was just like, well, no, like I poured into her every day. I have a little bit more leeway. I said, okay, interesting.
The question that I ask many couples in this scenario is, who gets to decide that? Do you get to decide that you have lots of leeway with this person, or do they get to decide that you have lots of leeway with them because of the way that you have spoke life into them, right? Who gets to
Mm-hmm.
decide? And
Mm-hmm.
what does it mean when you think you get to decide that you know what is best for them, that you have enough capital with them, that you have enough credit with them to misbehave and not need to face any consequences or accountability?
Mhm. You also have a woman coming to you and saying like, "Yeah, you don't have a girlfriend and you deserve someone who's all about you." What have we been seeing from Anaya for 3 weeks because she's constantly been choosing him, but she's not physical with you and that's what you want. But you're also not expressing that you're not getting your needs met. So
Mhm.
you're exhausted. She has this letter. And so no, I did not I mean, I think with Anaya what I will say is that I think that she is in a different environment, right? She's a pretty girl, gorgeous girl. Face card is never going to decline ever. She's also in a space where she does not feel attractive,
Mhm.
right? Because people are coming in, they're not wanting to explore her in that way. They friend zone her in that way.
Mm.
She's nervous about how she feels about KC because there are game players in there, mainly Zach. Zach, in every challenge, they're kind of poking at them as a couple of like making it seem that KC is not being as honest. And she's like, "Hey, if I'm a safe option, like I want to know." Like, and he's like, you're not a safe option. I chose you. This is the big thing with the door. Well, you saw episode 1. He
I
basically
did.
said, you weren't behind my door. You didn't choose me. I chose you.
That's
Technically,
true.
Casey, yes, that's true, but also all I know is that you said you had your eye on her. You're the one who she drew the most. I think Casey likes black women, so you were drawn to said black woman. Anaya was like, right? Where that comes from, I don't know. Is she a little insecure? I'm sure. This is a very different experience. She's 23. You're 23, right? And maybe y'all both got aura where you come from, but this is a different environment. And
Mhm.
so
Yeah, it's a unique environment as well.
yeah, very unique, very unique. And so I think when we are talking about the passive disrespect and then we get to the blatant disrespect at the recoupling from the girls, context does matter. I
Mhm.
think that the only people who have been respectful are the white folk. And y'all, to be honest, I don't use this word often because it reminds me of my grandma, but we should be ashamed of ourselves because we're acting up in front of the white folk, as she would say.
That's
Because the
really
white
funny.
folk are the only ones, except, well, minus Kenzie, who does splits in defiance. Outside of Kenzie, I think the white folks kind of got everybody else beat there with the respect.
That's really funny. This is one of the things that I think is really interesting to me about these kinds of shows is just I don't know if people forget. I know that that's exactly the right way of thinking about it because, again, right, they're like sleep deprived and drunk and whatever.
Yeah.
But I think that there is often just this sort of like, you do know that people who know you are going to see you behave this way, right? Right. That sense of like some social learning. Like my mom would have a goddamn conniption fit,
You know, something that my
right?
partner says often is that shame doesn't exist anymore for like generations after us. Like that
Oh,
shame.
I don't know about that.
And I told him, I was like, I don't know about that. He's like, no, Felicia, like, think about it. Like, the ways that we would be mindful of how we do things as, like, now we're in our mid 30s, right? Like, me and him. Or,
I was like, we who?
I mean, you ain't had to tell on yourself. You could have just joined the club. Ain't nobody would have been able to tell, but that's on you, friend. That's
Thanks.
not on me. I didn't say it, you guys.
Okay.
I didn't say it. And
I
he's
mean,
not
oh
even that
yeah,
much
we're all in our
older
mid
than,
30s.
he's not even that bit, that much older than us. He's like barely
I am
early
in spirit.
40s. Because to me, I'm just like,
In my
really?
soul,
You
I
really
am
are.
87
But
years old.
you be acting like you grandpa. For real. I'll be like, "No, Jason, you are not that
I do
old."
love a cinnamon disc. I'm just going to be honest about that.
A what?
See, that's what I'm saying. It's a hard candy.
Is that only in Texas? What is
No,
that?
don't do me.
I'm so
We're not
sorry.
doing. We're not doing this.
I've just never heard of that. Now my ADHD is like,
I'll
"What's
send you a
that?"
bag.
A bat? I don't know. But is it are they chocolate? Like,
No, they taste like they're like Red Hots or like
oh,
the like Mike and Ike, not Mike and Ike's. What are the, oh man, whatever the red ones are, the spicy
I
ones.
think I think you had it right. Like the Yeah,
Mhm.
you got it right, the Red Hots. Oh, okay. I
Well,
sorry. I
every
mean,
time.
I'm so
See,
sorry.
what you all do this is the first time that you've seen on camera how Philicia be reading me.
I just really didn't know what they were.
Every
I
other
was
time,
really
it's been off camera
confused.
where she hits me with the Kevin Hart Don Cheadle, "Damn."
I'm so sorry.
Right? Like,
I'm
so,
so
I'm
sorry. I didn't
glad
know.
everyone can see this. Now there's documented proof of what is
I'm
happening.
so sorry. But for us to get back on track, we are recording this like later in the evening, and we both
We are
have had
punch drunk. We're tired.
we really are. And so here's the thing. Here's the thing. Let me try to
Lock it.
bring it
We're locking in.
home. Let me
Yeah.
try to bring it home. I think that again, I do think that no one is exempt from disrespect. I think it's the lens through which we're seeing the disrespect. There's passive disrespect, there's subtle
Yeah.
disrespect, and there's blatant disrespect. I think folks get hung up
Yes.
on blatant disrespect. Is
Mhm. Mhm.
disrespect subjective between individuals? Sure, you
Of
could
course.
say that.
Yeah.
Me and Jason are aligned that even with him not even watching, I think he saw a clip. He can see
Mhm.
like, yep, that was disrespectful.
Mhm.
So for all of you guys who are saying like, but he wasn't disrespectful to her face, so why is she saying he's disrespectful? How he handled that recoupling was subtle disrespect in the ways that he was rolling his eyes and his body language. It was passive disrespect in the ways that, and even his tone of like, well, Naya, you come from a good family, you have a good head on your shoulders, like you'll be fine. He wrote her off
Uh,
for a connection that was building for 3 weeks, that you constantly reassured her it would take a lot to turn your head. And so what it did gave, I understand why Anaya felt like she was the safe option. And do I think that they both were safe options for each other? Yes. But again, context matters. Not in the ways, it's not a double standard and it's not the same. I think Anaya grew feelings for him, right? Because
mhm.
friendship couples have existed of like, you know what? Hey, we're going to
I
choose
was
each
gonna
other.
say, I want the safe option because I'm trying to
I
get that money.
Eggs are high. Gas is high. It's high to breathe. I walked
Mhm.
outside. I was oppressive. I think I paid $50 just to, like,
Mm.
come on. I
Way too high.
too, I too would scam. Yo, you want to just, you know, okay, cool.
Yeah,
Right.
and I'm
Until
not
we,
splitting the money.
yeah. And then until we find something better and then we split the money up. This, okay, cool. Let's walk away.
Yeah, easy.
Easy. See, listen, this cast has revealed that literacy and comprehension is just, and I hate that
It's
for
sad.
them and us, to be quite
For us
honest.
all. Yeah, for us
First
all.
off, George Bush, you will pay for your crimes, as my cousin says all the time.
Really?
I don't know. I don't
Separate
think so.
conversation. We need to
Separate
do that.
conversation. So, yeah, I just want to say, listen, we do care about people's mental health, and there is no reason to rank pain. Pain is pain. Coming for Anaya, coddling Casey, coddling Anaya, coming for Casey, like they both have misstepped because they're 23, hormonal, and running off of lack of sleep, not a whole lot of food. Like, who wants to eat grilled cheeses every day? And wine coolers at night. Like, come on, guys, like,
I
let's
haven't had a wine cooler in a minute.
I don't even know if it's a wine cooler, but that's what it reads to me. I know they can't have a lot of alcohol, but we have to start naming the systems that do the harm. And then when therapists and behavioral scientists say, "Hey, you are putting clinical words where they don't belong. They're inaccurate and harmful," those same folks turn on us as the providers.
Mhm.
That's really the tea. I don't understand that. I don't know what that is, right? If your
Yeah.
concern for mental health disappears the second a clinician makes it inconvenient, mental health is not your concern.
That's right. Yeah.
It's a weapon looking for a target, and I really need us to stop. If you are interested in where I have defined some of those terms, you can go on my threads and look because I pinned them to the top because it was getting to a point. Some people have asked for a clinical series where I break down terms. I will think about that because I do think it's necessary.
Oh,
Open the
yeah.
schools.
Mhm.
Anything else you want to add?
This show, it just amazes me
Yeah.
that it's still on every time
Oh,
I talk about it.
yeah.
It's been on for so long.
It has been. UK is better. I think you would like it. Guys, I'm gonna try to see if I can convince Jason to like watch and then like do just some even if we just talk about the cast. But I
Maybe.
don't think he's gonna go for it.
I
But
never say
but
that.
we'll
I
see.
might.
But we'll see. Because he was really mad at me after the first episode, you guys. He just
First, let's get that dinner that you owe me and my wife. And then we
I
can talk about some Love
I'm
Island UK.
so sorry, Siobhan. I'm so sorry, girl. I'm sorry, girl. I didn't even know. I was like, oh, I should have told you just watch it by yourself. I didn't know you were gonna drag people with you because yeah. Cleon don't even watch it with me. He'd be like, no, no. He walks out of the room now. He's like, I can't.
That feels like the most reasonable response.
It is. And I'm
Truly.
sad about it, but I
Yeah.
understand because it's
Mhm.
just, he's like, Felicia, I can't. He's like, they
It's a
can't even say
lot.
compound words. Like, I can't take it serious.
They're not the most strategic butt tributes
No,
I've ever met.
no,
Yeah, or
but
seen. God bless them.
That's what's happening for us. Again, something that we'd like you guys to think about really is like, again, with Cam, I think the name of the game is really accountability
And emotional maturity.
and emotional maturity at that, right? Same tune, just different
Mhm,
watches. So who gets to be accountable? Who gets to skate? Cam wants to be
mhm.
accountable. He wants the accountability to sit with girls, with women, not himself. And the whole Casey discourse wants it to sit with Anaya, not Casey. When in fact, it's not even about blame. It's actually about production.
No, it is. I would say
It's
that
not about
I'm not
blame.
mad at anyone for going after what it is that they want.
It's the
My
way you go about it.
encouragement is to be crystal clear
Crystal clear.
with the people
And
around you about what it
mm,
is that you are doing
mm.
and what it is that you want and what it is that you expect from them so that they can make their own choices eyes open
Yep.
if
Please
they
stop
want to do
taking
that too.
agency away. Exactly. If they want to do that too. That's the key. Kindness is clarity, guys. Clarity is not always packaged kindly, but kindness is clarity.
Yeah.
The kindest thing you can do for anyone, including yourself, is to be clear. So that's what's happening.
Mm.
We've been here for almost an hour. Thank you for hanging in there with me. If any of this hit different, please drop it in the comments. And oh my
Yes.
goodness, we need to tell people where to find us individually. You can find me at By Felicia on Instagram. You can find my practice page at Village of Sound Mind. You can find me on Threads at By Felicia. I be yapping.
Mhm.
And I do have a Substack. Where
Yeah.
can they find you?
You can find me on LinkedIn at Jason L. Herndon. You can find me on my website, which is at integratedpsyche.net. And I also write on Substack at submin.substack.com. The podcast is at the Wait and the Wonder podcast on Instagram and on YouTube at Wait and Wonder Podcast. All links are in the description. So
Mhm.
until the next time, hold the wait.
And find the wonder.
Bye.